Hello, my name is Thayane and I like to experiment with all kinds of AI technologies. But mostly I like experimenting with all kinds of visual things with Midjourney. Lately I have been experimenting with Midjourney's V6, and I have been going down a fascinating rabbit hole of combining regular-looking things with materials they are not normally made of. This is the third video of this series, and I have linked the previous videos in the description as well if you want to check those out. For this video, I selected words or phrases that are a little bit more common as materials that things could be made of. The subjects will again be book, forest and skyscraper, and all the prompts follow the formula, subject made of material, followed by the seed parameter, aspect, ratio parameter, sometimes style parameter for style raw and version parameter that is set to 6.0. You can see all of the prompts for the images in this video above each grid. Keep in mind that you are not guaranteed to generate the exact images as you see in this video, because the 6.0 model is in alpha mode and will likely see changes along the way. And each time there are these minor changes, the results will look slightly different but still reasonably similar. But let's just get started. Amber. Starting off in alphabetical order with amber. It's not a super common material, but it really seems to follow the prompt. I especially like how this has been applied to the forests. And a few of the books look really nice as well. I keep repeating myself probably, but raw style doesn't look much different from default style. These materials don't really alter the style, and basically all the images end up photorealistic. So there isn't a really big difference when it comes to the raw style. Overall, I like the default style more currently, but there are some rare gems that raw style sometimes does. Chenille. I think this is material adjacent. Not exactly a material in the regular sense, but it brings some nice and colorful look to the images. And it seems to follow the prompt pretty well too. Again, just a small variation between default style and raw style. I don't particularly find the skyscraper images as interesting as the rest of these. Cork. Another good material with probably lots of reference points that seems to follow the prompt literally. It's a type of wood, but it has a really interesting look. And some of the man images seem to have men made up of wine bottle corks. It does have kind of a double meaning even though it's the same material. Some of the raw images look really close to default style. It's as if we pressed the vary button. Glass. This material is interesting and it does seem to follow the prompt very well. Skyscrapers look pretty normal actually, because they can quite often be made of glass. Not entirely, but they have lots of glass windows. The books look especially cool this time around, and so do the forests. And we even seem to have a stained glass man here without asking specifically for it. Metal. Again, a pretty regular material, and skyscrapers look pretty normal. But depending on your subject, you can have really different results. I like the forests, and man prompt seems to be generating some androids or robots. Raw style does similar stuff. The difference between them is starting to feel like default style was photographed by someone who knows a thing or two about photography. And raw style just looks like a random photo on a smartphone taken of an interesting subject. Looks kind of similar to chenille and sometimes to wool as well, that we looked at in the previous video of this series. I really like the forests. The quality of raw style is not bad either this time around. And I still like the forests, they look so cute. It's a weird and fluffy material. Moonstones. I suppose there probably could even be a difference between moonstone and moonstones. This one incorporates lots of smaller moonstones in the images, and some actual moons occasionally. I didn't test it, but I have a suspicion that using simply moonstone would result in kind of monolithic things carved out from a single moonstone. Obsidian. This could double as a color as well, so maybe that is why we see so many images that are dark and use black color. but the material has this color as well. Raw style is following the prompt, but at least to me it hasn't produced any amazing images. But then again, it was not the point of this experiment to always create amazing images, but rather to see what happens if these subjects were made of obsidian. Organza. Another cloth-type material. And it seems to respond really well. I do feel like there are few images that do what was asked in the prompt. Slightly similar to gossamer and spider silk, but maybe not as creepy. Raw style has some nice results as well. I like the see-through quality of the right side images, or second and fourth images of the man grid. Paper. I remember that something related to paper was a really popular thing at one point during version 5. This is not exactly that, as it was more paper cutouts or quilling related. But here the forests have turned out really nicely. It's also funny that books are actually made of paper, and yet we get these elaborate trees with the books. Similar things with raw style. I think Midjourney might be attempting to have the book covers look like they were made out of paper. I would have expected a normal-looking book with soft covers here. Porcelain. It's strange that this almost looks like paper as well. Maybe it's just the white color of it. But all of the results look really intricate and detailed. Raw style again just has a slight variation on the default style. We also don't seem to get any actual skyscrapers here. But I guess making a skyscraper out of porcelain is kind of nonsense anyway, so Midjourney has decided to do models of skyscrapers made of porcelain instead. Rattan. This could have belonged to the Nature and Plants video, but anyway, here it is. Commonly used as a weaving material, but it seems that if you don't specify the weave part, you see less of it and more just branches stuck together. It does seem to follow the prompt quite nicely. Although the raw style forests look more like installations of some sort. Forests are not usually found indoors. Rubber. Looking almost like obsidian in color, we do get some softness to these and waviness where obsidian had some harsh angles. Also, you can sometimes notice some melted-looking tires. More tires, actually, with raw style. And some really interesting-looking skyscraper designs. Sand. People build all kinds of things out of sand, so this is not totally unheard of. Possibly a bit more intricate than one would encounter on a beach, but who knows. The forests also seem kind of impossible, so I really like that. Raw style is slightly more realistic for some images and looks like sand sculptures. It seems 50-50 of possible and kind of impossible. But the impossible bits are kind of why I am so fascinated by the potential of AI. How else could you make a photo of such intricately detailed things, made out of sand? Walnut shells. I don't know why walnut shells in particular, but we seem to get some interesting results with this one. Again, another one that could have belonged to the nature thematic as well. Somewhat similar to coconut shells in that regard, but seemingly slightly less robust and more detailed. And that concludes the exhibition of all kinds of materials that books, forests, men or skyscrapers are usually not made of. With the exception of a few that actually are used as materials for these things. I hope you were inspired on your prompting journey by this and saw some visually intriguing things you want to try out yourself. So comment, like, subscribe if you want to. I am ever grateful for all of the support. I am also probably still out of the loop with any possible updates for Midjourney for a couple of weeks, but I will be getting back to that as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and let's continue prompting.